Now, you may think that if all of this were actually true, that the government and health authorities would be urgently informing us, warning us, and making the practice of public, open defecation by dogs in all areas illegal. You may even think they would put an immediate stop to this practice for the sake of everyone's health, and make dog keeping in cities and towns illegal. It can't be true that it's a huge health hazard and the authorities don't care and aren't doing anything about it, can it? In fact, they are pushing for more and more dogs to be brought into hospitals, hospices, schools, grocery stores, malls, libraries, etc. How can this be? Dogs can't be health hazards. Well, yes they can, and yes the authorities can look the other way, because this has happened before in human history. Several times before, we have thought something was healthy, and a great idea, only to finally discover that it was dangerous, and needed to be eliminated entirely. Humans are incredibly smart and creative, and have accomplished many amazing feats of science, technology, music, and art, but we are also capable of being collectively fooled into thinking something is entirely different than what it is. We can be deluded into going far off track, and sometimes it's hard to get back on track, because we hate to admit we were wrong, can't believe we were all deluded. It's very hard to go against what is currently believed, and also, sometimes because the wrong thing we were doing was making us a lot of money. Sometimes, we don't want to stop doing something bad because we are addicted to it. But, there is hope, because, ultimately, human beings have a quest and a desire to seek, find, and live by the truth, not harmful delusions and destructive lies. One example of this is the thalidomide scandal. Thalidomide is remembered as being the biggest man-made medical disaster in modern history. In the early 50s, a drug was developed by a company called Grunenthal, that worked as a sedative, and was believed to be much safer than barbiturates. It was tested on rodents and found to have no lethal dose, and so was thought to be extremely safe. Soon, it was discovered that it was also helpful for nausea. It was patented in 1954, and marketed to pregnant women with the following: Distaval, one of several brand names it was sold under, can be given with complete safety to pregnant women and nursing mothers without adverse effect on mother or child. It was even touted as being a cure-all. Sound familiar? A sign of untrustworthy advertising. Soon, rumors started circulating that there was an increase in miscarriages, stillbirths, and birth defects, but no link was proven between those events and thalidomide. It was pulled from several countries, but still marketed in Canada until 1962, and in Spain until the 70s. Grunenthal denied responsibility throughout this time, claiming they had conducted all the standard tests, and were not interested in undergoing any further testing. The company claimed the deformities that occurred were just an act of God during their trial, which ended with the company paying out a small amount of money to victims, while not admitting any guilt. Affected families were ordered to stay silent. You would think that with consequences such as these, the drug would have been immediately pulled from the market. You may even think that the proper testing would have been done to ensure the drug was safe for pregnant women, but it was not. Greed caused many babies to be born with severe birth defects, and some of them are still alive and suffering today. Something similar happened with tobacco smoking, only it was allowed to continue unchecked for much longer, and still continues today, although far fewer people smoke today than they did in previous decades. Long ago, tobacco was thought to be a cure-all medicine, good for toothaches, wounds, and many other ailments. Cigarette ads portrayed smoking as a wholesome, healthy part of an ideal life. The Marlboro Man was strong, masculine, healthy, and riding a horse outdoors, living a healthy lifestyle, not coughing and hooked up to an oxygen machine, and having cancerous body parts removed. Similarly, dog ads today portray dog ownership as a wholesome, healthy part of an ideal happy life. Cigarettes were even included in soldiers' rations, and soldiers came back from war addicted to them. In the 30s, most people in the US smoked, including most doctors. Doctors were even used in smoking ads, which were accepted as fact, to try to fight the growing suspicion that smoking was, in fact, harmful. 20,679 physicians were easily convinced to claim that Lucky cigarettes were less irritating to sensitive throats than other brands by giving them a free pack of cigarettes. No testing was done to prove the claim. Another brand, Philip Morris, attended medical conventions where they gave unlimited cigarettes to doctors, who published their findings in an official medical journal, claiming those cigarettes were less irritating to the throat. Next, Camel cigarettes came up with the ultimate marketing claim that more doctors smoke Camels after giving a bunch of doctors free Camel cigarettes. But also in the 30s, a link was made in Germany between smoking and lung cancer, and smoking was then banned on buses and trains. Further research was done in the 50s. It wasn't until January of 1964 that the U.S. Surgeon General finally reported that smoking was bad, specifically, that it was the main cause of chronic bronchitis, a cause of lung and laryngeal cancer, and was correlated with women giving birth to underweight babies. This was, of course, denied by tobacco companies, but it prompted legislation to print health warnings on cigarette packages, and in 1971, tobacco advertising was banned on TV ads in the US. Cigarettes are not even visible in stores anymore, although they are still legal to buy. Similarly, today we have many people claiming that dogs are good for your health somehow, even though there is no truth to the claim. I would love to see dog advertising banned on TV, and dog food hidden behind black barriers in stores with customers having to ask a worker to get a bag of dog food out for them, and the person shamefully exiting the store with a bag of dog food, hoping not to be seen by anyone. Recently, it has been proven that after decades of being told that moderate drinking of alcohol is okay, and drinking some alcohol is actually good for your heart and better than not drinking at all, that in fact, no amount of alcohol is actually safe. Even one drink a day increases the chances of a woman getting breast cancer. So, we have seen that some things we previously thought were healthy, wholesome, and belonged in our daily lives, are not healthy at all. It sometimes takes many years to prove the link between diseases and a particular thing and then take steps to address it. Making money is usually the factor that causes these things to still be promoted and sold, even though they are bad for us. Even though alcohol has been shown to be a carcinogen with no actual safe amount, alcohol is more widely available now than it has ever been. It is possible for our whole society to be deluded into making healthy connections that don't exist. We can't assume that the powers that be are going to protect us from harmful things. Rather, it seems like we are getting one crazy idea after the other, in rapid succession, possibly because so many of us have parasites tunneling through our brains. Recently, our government has made euthanasia readily available in Canada, to chronically ill people, and they are currently in talks considering expanding it to include those with mental health disorders. They would rather euthanize you than provide you with mental health care. We have a legal cannabis store on every block, despite the fact that cannabis can trigger or worsen paranoia, anxiety, psychosis, and schizophrenia, and we have legalized the open use of hard drugs in public, because, apparently, the only thing wrong with hard drug use is the stigma. I just found out today that my province is giving safer supply fentanyl to minors without parental consent. So, it seems that humans are capable of coming up with all kinds of bad ideas. The dangers of second-hand smoke were first reported in 1972, and by 1986 a definite link was made between second-hand, involuntary smoke exposure, and lung cancer. Shouldn't people also have the right to be protected from second-hand dog exposure? Shouldn't people be able to choose if they are comfortable with the hygiene risks? Shouldn't there be dog-free neighborhoods for families that are not on board with having scavenger predator animals that carry Capnus etophaga, Toxocara canis, and many other dangerous, foreign pathogens forced upon them everywhere? Exposure to brain parasites like Toxocara canis is not the only underlying cause of dread diseases, but it's part of it. Smoking and drinking are not the sole causes of diseases, either, but we still recognized that they are harmful, and don't really have any benefits, and took steps to inform the public and reduce their presence in society. Dogs and their pathogens are now in our homes, lawns, beds, beaches, fields, trails, ferries, sofas, cars, Ubers, buses, airports, airplanes, malls, restaurants, schools, stores, patios, hospitals, hospices, dentists' offices, and libraries, and are licking people's faces and mouths, in an absolutely breathtakingly unprecedented way. The fallout from this very recent trend is as yet unknown.